Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a truly epic biographical journey of an absolute global icon. We're looking at a man who hasn't just played the sport, he's completely transcended it. We are going to trace the full incredible evolution of Cristiano Ronaldo, from a young boy with a massive dream all the way to an absolute machine of an athlete and a global brand powerhouse.
Right off the bat, I want to hit you with a totally staggering number, 900. That represents the frankly unbelievable amount of official career goals he's scored for both club and country. And, if you want another number to just kind of establish the monumental scale of his life, try 1 billion. Yeah, 1 billion. That's his combined social media following across all platforms. We are quite literally talking about a reach that rivals the population of entire continents.
Okay, so let's dive right into this. Here is our roadmap for today. First, we'll cover origins and the rise. Then we'll get into the Messi rivalry era, followed by a look at the ageless football machine. After that, we'll explore building the CR7 empire, and finally, we'll wrap things up with the final chapters.
All right, Section 1, Origins and the Rise.
So to truly understand the man, we've got to look at the obsessive mindset for excellence that really took root back in his childhood. Born in 1985 in Funchal, out on the Portuguese island of Madeira, Ronaldo's story starts with some incredibly humble roots. I mean, his family faced severe financial hardship, and he would often sweep the streets just to help his mom out. But what set him apart, even at a super young age, was this rock-solid foundation of daily self-demand. In his mind, there were simply no days off. At just 12 years old, he made the incredibly tough, emotionally wrenching decision to leave his family and move entirely alone to Lisbon to pursue football. That sheer drive and sacrifice culminated in 2002 when he made his professional debut at Sporting CP, just dazzling everyone with his raw, explosive talent. And then, boom, just a year later in 2003, his rapid ascent saw him explode onto the global stage. He played a preseason friendly against the English giants Manchester United, and famously left their veteran defenders in such a spin that those players actually begged their legendary manager, Sir Alex Ferguson, to sign him immediately, which of course he did. And that right there was the moment the world was officially introduced to a player who would go on to totally redefine modern football.
Moving on to Section 2, the Messi rivalry era.
You really can't tell the story of Cristiano Ronaldo without framing it around the most competitive, historically significant rivalry in football history. Take a look at these head-to-head stats on screen. When we impartially compare them, the sheer scale of this era becomes crystal clear. For over 15 years, Cristiano Ronaldo and Argentina's Lionel Messi shared the biggest stages in the world, mostly facing off during those epic edge-of-your-seat clashes between Real Madrid and Barcelona. Now, Messi holds the edge in official trophies, with 46 to Ronaldo's 34, and Ballon d'Or wins 8-5. But both of these men have incredibly crossed that seemingly impossible 900-goal threshold. They spent 9 whole seasons in the absolute prime of their careers, pushing each other to heights we honestly thought were impossible, trading records back and forth almost every single week.
There's a brilliant quote from FIFA's Chief of Global Football Development, Arsene Wenger, that perfectly sums up how their dual dominance redefined the sport. He said, "When they will not be there anymore, we will realize what they have given us. 2 exceptional players who have shown the world for 15 years how great football can be." You see, it wasn't about who was objectively better. It was really about how their constant, relentless battle to outdo one another elevated the entire game of football for well over a decade. Which brings us to Section 3, the ageless football machine. So how exactly does a player maintain this elite level for so long? To sustain peak performance into his late 30s and 40s, it all starts with a diet that is measured down to the absolute millimeter. I mean, think about how tough it is for the average person to avoid junk food for just a week. His discipline has lasted for decades. He relies heavily on lean proteins and fresh foods, focusing a lot on fish like swordfish, sea bass, and gilthead bream. He does allow himself a little nod to his Portuguese roots with his favorite dish, the traditional bacalhau à brás. But the really crucial point here is his schedule. He eats 6 small meals a day, spaced out perfectly every 3 to 4 hours. This incredibly specific structure, which has absolutely zero ultra-processed foods or refined sugars, is designed to keep his energy levels completely stable and optimize his muscle recovery around the clock.
Now, imagine trying to completely abandon your standard 8-hour sleep schedule. No way, right? Well, working with specialist Nick Littlehales, Ronaldo ditched the traditional 8-hour block entirely. Instead, he follows what's called a polyphasic sleep method. He actually takes 5 90-minute naps throughout the entire day. He strictly avoids screens late at night and prioritizes constant hydration, even in the early hours. Sleep specialists note that this exact kind of bizarre method is actually incredible for eliminating brain toxins and regenerating muscle tissue way faster than normal sleep cycles. It's this extreme, super-tuned system where discipline, nutrition, and rest all work perfectly in sync to biologically extend his prime.
Next up, Section 4, Building the CR7 Empire.
Here's the thing. Ronaldo isn't just an athlete anymore. What's truly fascinating is that his brand has become so massive that academic journals literally publish papers studying it. As you can see here, using Cafarer's brand identity prism, experts can separate the CR7 brand into distinct aspects like physique, personality, culture, and relationship. It perfectly highlights how his athletic body, his sheer determination, and those iconic celebrations like the famous Su have morphed into cultural identifiers that aggressively drive consumer behavior all over the globe.
And what exactly does that consumer behavior buy into? Well, let's look at the physical elements of his billion-dollar business empire, the CR7 ecosystem. We're talking about luxury Pastana lifestyle hotels in Lisbon, Madrid, and New York. There's the global chain of CR7 Crunch fitness gyms. He's got his own lines of fragrances and grooming products. And fashion? Yep, starting with underwear and expanding into denim and accessories. He's also deeply invested in real estate and tech. Because of this massive vertical integration and his unprecedented global appeal, Forbes actually estimates that a single social media post from Ronaldo holds a media value of around $2 million. $2 million! That is absolutely mind-blowing leverage for just one individual.
But I think it's really important to note that his empire isn't strictly commercial. He has built a long, remarkably consistent legacy of massive charitable work. He's an ambassador for Save the Children, a partner with UNICEF and World Vision. He famously auctioned off his European Golden Boot for £1.2 million specifically to fund schools in Gaza, and auctioned a Ballon d'Or trophy for over £500,000 to support the Make-A-Wish Foundation. He's constantly donating his massive tournament bonuses to good causes, proving for sure that his global influence extends well beyond business and straight into impactful philanthropy.
Finally, Section 5, the final chapters. Bringing this biography right up to the present day, the dramatic arc of his recent career is quite something to witness. In August 2021, he made what honestly seemed like a fairy tale return to Manchester United, the exact club that had launched him to superstardom almost 2 decades earlier. By April 2022, he achieved another massive milestone, scoring his 100th Premier League goal. But, relationships behind the scenes were severely deteriorating. Then came November 2022. He sat down for an explosive interview with Piers Morgan where he stated point blank that he felt betrayed by the club. This bombshell led to his immediate, mutual exit from United. But true to form, he didn't just fade away into a quiet retirement. In January 2023, he made a historic, truly trailblazing move to the Saudi Pro League, signing with Al Nassr. And this move didn't just give him a new stage, it entirely shifted the global football market in the process, triggering this huge influx of European stars over to the Middle East. And so, here we are today. He is 41 years old. That's a time when almost all outfield players have long since hung up their boots. Yet, because of that extreme discipline, that wild polyphasic sleep schedule, and that relentless daily drive we talked about earlier, he continues to completely defy time. He's still scoring goals at an incredible rate in Saudi Arabia, and his eyes are firmly fixed on leading Portugal with the 2026 World Cup right on the horizon.
Which leaves us with this final, really intriguing thought to ponder. We've seen the evolution from a poor kid sweeping streets in Madeira to an ageless athletic machine to a global brand icon. So what does a man who has already conquered the world of football and business do next? It's a question only Cristiano Ronaldo can answer, and I, for one, absolutely cannot wait to watch it unfold. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer as we unpack the evolution of an absolute icon.